Hello everybody, my name is Lemonade, I also go by Lemon. I am your coach of the Sacramento Surge, and today we are back into the Draft League game with Season 7 of the SPS. It's been a long while since I've last done any kind of Draft League or content creating, but with the new generation Paldea out, I really wanted to get back into it, and after we've done our draft, I am super excited for this league. In the past, I've always been part of the singles division of the Zapdos division. But recently, I have done a lot more VGC stuff, and I think it just clicks for me a lot easier than singles does, and I just enjoy it a lot more. And so with that, I decided to join the Talonflame division, the VGC division of the SPS. So with that, I think we're just going to jump right into our draft. So in this draft, we each coach has 115 points to draft a team between 11 and 9 Pokemon. We have a 16-person draft, although it is split in two because of the very limited decks of this generation. So we don't have a ton of Pokemon options, but they've split the draft in two, so it's like 1 through 8 and then 9 through 16. I was in that latter part of 9 through 16, but we're just going to say that it's 1 through 8. So I had the third pick overall of that. And I really liked that positioning. I think it gave me a very nice positioning for planning that didn't leave too much to like non-confirmation, I guess, like things that were just too out in the open for me to be able to plan for. And I was able to plan. I had 3 different plans for this draft, and 2 of them came really close to working, but they honestly did need like all the stars to align. But I am really happy with this one that came together. So with that, everybody, we're just going to jump right on into it. With the third pick overall, we have picked one of the newest and, frankly, one of the most insane new Pokemon out there. We've got Midas the Golden Go. Golden Go here is a massive staple in the VGC format right now, costing us 18 points, but it is well worth it. Midas here is a Steel and Ghost type, which is incredible defensively, as well as offensively. Ghost and Steel are both very good offensive typings, being able to break through other Ghost-type Pokemon, as well as defensive Psychics or Fairies. Very, very solid. Overall, this thing has pretty okay stats. Solid HP, good defense, good special defense, definitely very usable speed, and a very strong special attack at 133. On top of that, its signature ability, Good as Gold, is kind of stupidly good. Good as Gold gives this Pokemon full immunity to any status moves that would target it. That includes moves like Thunder Wave, Will-O-Wisp, Yawn, Hypnosis, Spore, and then stuff like Encore, After You. I guess After You wouldn't target me, though. Just anything that would target this Pokemon is completely stopped from working, which is good enough in singles because it blocks stuff like Defog, but in this format, it is so good. The one downside this Pokemon has is that it really needs support. However, it's got on top of like all of this signature really good stuff going for it, it's got a signature move called Make It Rain. Make It Rain is I believe it's a 130 base, maybe it's 120. I think it's 120 base power Steel type move that hits both targets on my opponent's side of the field, and it lowers my special attack by 1 stage. So it's essentially a Steel type Draco Meteor, except that it doesn't miss, and it only lowers my special attack by 1 stage, whereas Draco Meteor will lower it by 2, and it has a chance to miss. So this move is incredible. There is, of course, going to be the threat of Pokemon with Wide Guard. However, this Pokemon generally just handles them pretty well. It's got access to pretty good solid coverage in Make It Rain, Flash Cam. I don't think it has Flash Cam. I think it has Steel Beam. Steel Beam, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam. I think that's about it, but that's such good coverage already that all it needs is a good support Pokemon. I'm very happy with this pick. I think it is well worth the 18 points, putting us down to 97. And on the turnaround for our second pick, we have picked something that I am so excited to use. I hyped myself up so much for this. It is Mona, the Meowscarada. Meowscarada is a very solid Pokemon, having very good speed at base 123, solid attack at 110. Everything else is just kind of meh, but it has a fantastic move pool and Protean. This is the first time I'm ever going to be allowed to use a Protean Pokemon in any draft league I've ever done. And that's because Protean actually got nerfed recently. Protean used to be an ability where it changed the Pokemon's typing to the move it's using every time it uses a move. However, this time, in the new region, they have nerfed it so that it instead will only change its typing to the typing of the first move it uses, and then it stays that way until it switches out. However, that still gives me so much control over my typing that it is still a very fantastic ability. This Pokemon has fantastic coverage and a fantastic signature move called Flower Trick. Flower Trick is a 70 base power grass type move that never misses and always crits. It's fantastic. Really good for breaking through Pokemon like Dondozo, who is a big staple in the VGC league right now, and is going to be a threat for me later on because somebody was able to draft Dondozo Tatsugiri. It's able to crit through any Pokemon that would like to set up iron defenses and curses and stuff, which is fantastic. And just overall, really good Pokemon. However, there's one major thing in particular that I really want to draft this Pokemon for, and it's the move Fake Tears. Fake Tears is a pretty common move that lowers the target's special defense by 2 stages. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but having my opponent's special defense with Goldengo right next to this thing is terrifying for my opponents. On top of that, it's got access to Taunt to stop those defensive Pokemon like a Moongus from being too problematic, which is really nice. And then it's also got Sucker Punch for any kind of priority I may need. U-Turn is kind of nice sometimes, not very often though, but it's got a lot going for it in this generation, and I'm really excited to use it. This thing cost us 14 points, and I'm very happy with this pick. The next Pokemon we've decided to pick, I had the hardest time picking a fairy type. And that's generally just because I don't like a lot of fairy types. However, this time around, I did like one in particular, and there was a very limited options for fairy types this time around. But one of them that came up this time around was that's the wrong pick. Never mind, I was wrong. I was not picking a fairy type here. I was picking my fighting type. That's so funny. Okay, so yeah, this pick is Slammer the Hariyama. Hariyama is here to provide some fake out support to my team, which is going to be very nice paired with Goldengo and our fairy type that I will reveal in a little bit. Slammer here is very bulky with that base 144 HP. Not great in the defense and not great in the special defense. However, with the Assault Vest, it can pick that up really nicely. This thing cost us another 14 points, which I'm very happy to spend that. This thing is a very hard hitter with base 120 attack. I felt like I really needed a physical hard hitter. And it's got 3 fantastic abilities in Thick Fat, Guts, and Sheer Force. Sheer Force will admittedly not be used that often, just because it doesn't have very many target moves for it. However, Guts provides this thing some insanely good offense in any match, and Thick Fat is very nice to resist fire and ice moves that I wouldn't normally resist, which is very, very helpful because there is a Hail team and there is a Sun team in this league. So having Thick Fat Slammer here for that would be very nice. I'm overall really happy with this pick, and also it's very slow, and I felt like I needed a Trick Room mode. I didn't want to put a lot of emphasis on it, though, because last time around, my last time in VGC, I did have a Trick Room mode, and I just didn't actually use it that much. I just didn't like it that much. It wasn't that I didn't like it, it's just that I couldn't find a way to utilize it super often. However, with Fake Out support pairing into that, into our Trick Room setter, it is going to be very helpful. And we're going to go into what our Trick Room setter is right now. It is Cersei the Hatterene. I've wanted to use Hatterene for a very long time. Unfortunately, she's just not very good in singles. However, in this format, they are very solid. Cersei here is costing us, I think, another 14 points. We put a lot of emphasis onto the 14 pointers. We are going for a very top-heavy team here, after all. This thing is a fantastic special attacker pairing next to Goldengo, making up for what Goldengo can't cover. Psychic and Fairy is a very good offensive typing. However, it does struggle with steel types, and I think it just lost Mystical Fire, which is unfortunate. But despite that, it is still a very solid Pokemon, very threatening, and it can set Trick Room, which is very, very nice. Setting that Trick Room for our Hariyama is awesome. It's just always going to be very, very helpful. I'm checking on the Mystical Fire. Actually, no, it still has Mystical Fire for those steel types, so never mind. It is fairly defensive, really bad HP stat, but it kind of almost makes up for it in its defenses. It definitely needs some support, which is why I got the Hariyama. I am very happy with this fairy pick overall. I think there were definitely some better options, like I would have been happy with Sylveon, but I think that this does me good. Magic Bounce is a very good ability. The other two, just never going to use them. But Magic Bounce is a very good ability, reflecting all status moves that would hit, that would target Cersei at all, um, onto my opponent. And that's always going to be very helpful with Taunters or Will-O-Whispers. I got to check if it protects my teammates, which I don't think it does, but I got to check on that. Another 14-pointer here, definitely worth it. I'm very happy with this pick. We're going to move on to our next pick here, and this was actually the only and first time something I really wanted got taken, a little bit before I could take it. I wouldn't call it a snipe, though. But I did make up for it, I think, in the plan of Buzzshock the Rotom Wash. I just cannot grow away from drafting Rotom. I love this Pokemon so much. Rotom is a very solid electric and water type here, with pretty decent stats, bad HP, but good everything else except for attack because it just doesn't want to run attack. Another special attacker, we are going pretty heavy on special attacking in our team right now, which I will be hopefully making up for pretty soon. This thing hits really hard with Thunderbolts, Hexes, Shadow Balls, Hydro Pumps. I think that might be about it. Oh, and Terra Blast. Having Terra Blast is also very nice. In this league, every Pokemon is free to terrestrialize and do any typing they want, and that's it. There's nothing else anybody can do about it. And so with that, this thing could be a major threat with like, I don't know, Terra Grass to hit. Actually, maybe not Terra Grass. Terra Fire maybe to hit the grass types that pretty much wall this thing normally. Um, Very nice. This thing also has some pretty solid support moves in that it's got access to Will-O-Wisp and Thunder Wave, as well as Eerie Impulse to lower my target's special attack stages by 2. And it's got Foul Play for major, for like really hard-hitting physical attackers. Helping Hand is always very nice. And then it's also got access to Sunny Day and Rain Dance, which I won't use very often, but it's nice that I have the option. And then it's also got Light Screen Reflect, which can add a little bit of tankiness to my team when in matchups where I may need it. Overall, I think this Pokemon's really nice. It gives us a ground immunity as well, which is awesome for an electric type. So this Pokemon is only weak to grass type moves on a regular basis. This thing costs us 15 points, putting us down to 40. And remember, we can draft 9 Pokemon instead of 11, which is what we're going to do. We're going for a very top-heavy team here, just because I think top-heavy works the best. At least it works the best for me, and it's my draft style. So with that, we're going to go to the next pick, which I'm honestly surprised it got to me at round 6, but it's a very solid support Pokemon. It is pretty much exactly what Golden Go needed, and I feel like Rotom Wash and this Pokemon made up for the fact that I was not sniped, but lost out on getting Rotom Heat, which is what I originally wanted. The Pokemon that we're talking about, of course, is Spitfire the Talonflame. Talonflame is a bit of a staple in the VGC series, having access to priority Tailwinds with its signature ability Gale Wings. Gale Wings giving it, of course, priority on any flying type move whenever it's at full HP, which is very nice for Tailwind in particular. It did lose out on quite a few moves that would be able to target it, which is sad. I wish it still had Dual Wing Beat and Feather Dance. Those are the 2 main moves that I really wish it still had. However, I am still accepting of this reality. And it is still a very good Pokemon. 126 base speed. I'm not gonna lie. It's a not great speed tier just because I have 123 with Meowscarada, but I needed a fire type, I needed a flying type, and I needed a Tailwinder, and this was still on the board, and it just felt really worth it. Cost us 16 points, putting us down to 24, so the last couple of picks will have to be kind of cheap, but that's fine. This Pokemon can still hit pretty hard with moves like Acrobatics, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, and it's got access to Will-O-Wisp as well, so it can burn stuff. It's got Taunt, and it's got Quick Guard, which is very nice. Quick Guard is a move that, of course, protects itself and my ally Pokemon from all priority attacks, which is very nice in this format because there are plenty of priority attacks that can be major threats, including Fake Out. There's a lot of Fake Outers in this generation. So generally, having this thing as a fast support, pairing next to that Golden Go or that Rotom is very, very nice. With that, we're going to go into our next and almost final pick. We're speeding through this. Our next pick, I really really needed more physical attackers. I am really low on physical attackers. I only have Meowscarada and Hariyama, and Meowscarada isn't the greatest at that. So I went with like one of the highest physical attacking stats I could find that I could fit into my team, and that Pokemon is going to be Razor the Haxorus. Haxorus here is a very solid offensive dragon type. Another Pokemon that I felt like I needed was a dragon type. Um, Hitting really hard with that base 147 attack. Good solid speed tier in 97. I kind of needed that 90-ish speed tier. My speed tiers are going to be all out of whack, admittedly. They're going to be kind of goofy. That's just kind of how it is. This thing cost us, I believe it was 11 points, which I definitely think was worth it. Um, Overall, really hard hitter. It's got access to a move called First Impression, which is a priority move that only works if it's used on the first time it is on the board. However, that move alone is just so hard hitting that it's definitely worth it for me. Having access to Dragon Dance as well is very very nice. Close combat is nice for the steel types. It's got Dragon Claw, it's got Earthquake. Um, let's see. I'm sure it has plenty of other moves. Yeah, it's got a lot going for it. It's got Iron Head for the fairy types. So in matchups where I really need to be hitting fairy types, I can run Terra Steel. This is another staple Pokemon for terastallizing. I needed a couple of Pokemon that were really good for terastallizing, and those are going to be Goldengo. I think Hariyama, if I can get up Trick Room, Rotom, and Haxorus are going to be our main terastallized Pokemon. Um, and overall, this thing is just a hard hitter. It is definitely a discount version of Hydreigon in the current format, but it's still very, very good um, in for what I needed to do. So I'm very happy with this pick. I like this Pokemon a lot in general. And now we are on to probably the best Pokemon ever. Um, I I don't even know how to like properly build up to this, but I drafted the best Pokemon ever, and it is of course Mudpie the Clodsire. Clodsire here is here to be an option to handle Dondozo possibly. I honestly haven't done the calc, so I don't know. But having access to Water Absorb is very nice. I had a bit of a water weakness, um, and then also having Unaware, so I can stop myself from taking massive, massive damage from big setup threats, is really nice. I also felt like I needed a ground type so I could be immune to electric moves, just because electric is a very good offensive typing right now, and I currently only have two resists. One is Meowscarada and the other is Haxorus. Neither of them are great at that, so I felt like I needed a ground type. I liked this Pokemon having access to Haze, it being another Trick Room Pokemon. It's not great attack. Apparently, it has no defense, which I forgot to put. It has 60 base defense. Kind of the only thing going for it, and it's not. Its stats are not correct at all. I don't think I fully updated the stats. Its stats are not correct at all on here, um, which is a little bit funny. But its only good stats, I would say, is HP, and its special defense is all right. That's the only thing it's got going for it. But it's a perfect little boy, and it was very much worth the 6 points. And it has access to Haze. So that's about the entire reason. Oh, and Yawn. Yawn is nice too. So that's about the entire reason I drafted this thing. So we're gonna move on to the actual poison type of our team. It is of course my beautiful boy Gremlink, the Grafaiai. I'm so happy to have Grafaiai. I love this Pokemon so much. I love my Gremlin little boys. This Pokemon is a fantastic prankster user, and I feel very good about drafting it for this team. I think it has access to some very solid status moves. Um, it's not going to be quite as usable as prankster Pokemon like Sableye or Murkrow. However, it has enough going for it that it was definitely worth the 6 points. Um, we do have 1 point left over, and I did not feel any need to draft a 1 point Pokemon because then it would actually cost me a free agent point to get rid of it if I needed to trade my team around later. So it just felt like it was actually going to be a downside if I drafted a 1 pointer. So for this though, Gravii has some very awesome prankster options in Encore or Parting Shot, Sunny Day, Rain Dance, Taunt. It's got, let's see, that's about it. It's also got the access to its signature move called Doodle. Doodle is a pretty cool move that replaces the user and its ally's ability with the target's. So if my opponent has a really good ability that my ally Pokemon may really want, I can get rid of my ally Pokemon's ability and give it something really good, which could be very nice for Haxorus because it doesn't honestly have very good abilities, or it could be very good for Rotom. But overall, I didn't feel a need for Doodle. Um, I just felt like having a prankster Pokemon was going to be very important to this team, and 6 points for Grafaiai felt like it was a really good deal. On top of that, I am just very happy to have this Pokemon because I do really love it. It does have like decent enough offense that it can hit hard enough with access to like knockoff, or Super Fang is really nice, cutting my opponent's HP in half, or it can go for um, gunk shots or U-turns. So it is a solid Pokemon. On top of that, I did need a normal, and I really did need a normal type so I could resist ghost type moves better. And I felt like I needed another fairy resist that wasn't Clodsire. So this is here for that as well. So I feel really good about this Pokemon. And then we got our full team here. I really do like this team. I'm very excited to use it in this season of the SPS, and I'm very excited to be back into the SPS. If you guys are excited, or if you need to do me a favor, go down to the like and subscribe. Go ahead and punch them. Go and just sucker punch them in the face, so that I know that you enjoy the content I very much am very excited to make. And with that, thank y'all so much for watching. I will see you another time. Goodbye.